it's still a hot garbage fire that I love sometimes. Dream about
How
it.
many hours you got? Joe has like over like 400 hours in it.
I have 500 and something. I
Oh
have just
man.
as much as him. Oh well, I have less than him, but I'm the second highest in our group.
Yeah,
Okay.
me
But
and Dylan, PUBG champions for life.
well, we're poster
Yeah.
children of how like practice does not make perfect.
Super bad.
It's terrible that game.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for enjoying this steaming hot edition of Cup of Joe's. I'm your host, Joe Brown, joined by my best friend, Joe Parian. And we actually have a special guest, Mr. Dillon Madrigal. Dillon, how are you doing today? Welcome to the show.
I am excited, and this is my first podcast. I'm very excited to be joining everybody.
Oh.
No time listener, and I'm very, it's gonna be a good time.
I was going to ask, like, so have you listened to Cup of Joe's before? Or
God no.
Why waste your time, right?
And I have a lot of things to do. I'm very busy.
So this is episode 37 of Cup of Joe's, and we're going to have one story to talk over, and then two of our first impressions on new games that have come out, Fallout 76 and Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. But I say we start with the Sony news, guys. What do you think?
Sure, let's
Yep.
do it.
Okay, so Sony Interactive Entertainment is not attending E3 in 2019. This kind of blew up on Thursday afternoon. It was like just out of nowhere. There were articles popping up that Sony decided they're backing out of E3, which led people to make the joke that E3 is now E2 because it only has Microsoft and Nintendo at it now. Fun fact stands for Electronic Entertainment Expo, so obviously not what E3 stands for. But this is a massive blow to E3, considering some people, their favorite company for games is Sony, and they love their PS4. So if they're not going to be there, they might not listen. They might not tune in for it. But we do have some quotes from this Game Informer article, which we will include in the description of this podcast. But this is a quote from Sony. It says, quote, "As the industry evolves, Sony Interactive Entertainment continues to look for inventive opportunities to engage the community." The company told Game Informer in a statement. Continuing the quote, "PlayStation fans mean the world to us, and we always want to innovate, think differently, and experiment with new ways to delight gamers. As a result, we have decided not to participate in E3 in 2019. We are exploring new and familiar ways to engage our community in 2019 and can't wait to share our plans with you." Now, they were pressed on how this year's E3 lineup was very lacking, and they even canceled the PlayStation Experience, which is usually every December. They canceled that this year because they didn't have enough games to show off. So they were pressed on, while are you lacking games? Like, what's the reason for this? And here's another quote: "We are looking at events as a whole and how we can speak more to our fans and continue to wow them. The timing of PSX and E3 didn't allow for that. But lots of exciting things to come, and we hope to share shortly. Some of our biggest games will have key milestones next year, so we will work hard to blow those up." So, guys, I'll open it up for discussion with you. What do you think about Sony not attending E3 next year? Is it a good move on their end? Is it a bad move? How's Microsoft going to capitalize on this in their console war? Give me your thoughts.
I think Sony is going to set up a new thing for themselves where they're just going to play random instruments now instead of actually holding a conference for anything.
Oh, I was
In
going to say they were
barns?
going to. I was saying they were going to kidnap Microsoft employees and just like hold them on a death match, probably on an island somewhere.
All right, and Microsoft's going to be like,
We don't know where our CEO went. Please help.
Please.
Well, okay. So
Man, isn't this E3 really bad without us? That's what they're gonna do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, Microsoft. Yeah, Microsoft won't be at E3 because they're all will be held at ransom.
Right.
So I haven't played on it. I'm going to be coming from the PC standpoint. I haven't played on a console in so long. So I watch E3. Whenever it's been out, I've been watching it like live with my friends. Just getting excited all the games I'm not going to play.
Right.
So
Right.
I'm wondering how Sony's gonna. I mean, like, I feel like people are gonna get excited regardless of what avenue they're getting their content from. You know, like if the fan base is strong enough. I mean, E3 is a big deal, so I don't know if they're gonna do something before or after, but they could take a pretty big blow because it was kind of nice to get some concise coverage of the big games being put out at something like E3. So to
Right.
have it split up into maybe like this is the Sony one, and then like is Microsoft going to do that? Like is if Sony's seeing these huge coverage numbers of their their news being consumed by X number of people, will Microsoft do that, and then will E3 dissolve? Because those are as you said, like Nintendo, Sony, and Microsoft are kind of the big three players at E3. So I don't know. I'm interested to see what E3 is going to be as an event after they leave. Really.
But at the same time, I feel like so many is Naughty Dog going to kind of separate themselves and have their own conferences at E3 now? Because what happens if this? Because Sony's not going to be at E3, nor are they having their thing that they usually do in December.
Mm-hmm.
So how are we going to hear about the new games that are going to be exclusive for the PlayStation? Are some of the companies that work with PlayStation just going to be like, you know what? Forget doing this. I don't want to wait another year to talk about my new product. I'm going to go to E3 and give a presentation on it. Or
Right. Are they
going to
go crawl to Microsoft and say, hey, you have ruined
that's the next thing.
your thing, right?
Is Norman Reedus going to break into my house and tell me about his weird game coming out soon?
I would hope so.
I would hope so.
That's great
I dream
marketing.
about it. Yeah, I dream about it every night. One day it'll come true.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't understand what Sony thinks they're going to do. They're just going to be like, oh man, come check out the PlayStation conference that we're going to show you how to play on a station for the fifth time.
Well, you bring up the PlayStation on the fifth time. The PS5 eventually is going to come out. Xbox has already stated that they're working on the follow-up to the Xbox One and Xbox One S, or X.
God.
So you could assume that next year's E3 is going to be all about the new console, the new console generation for Microsoft.
No, I think we still got at least 2 to 3 years on those. I don't think we're going to hear about them.
I don't know. I think Microsoft needs to do something, and if they have the whole floor to themselves, because Nintendo sends in a 45-minute video, for E3, like that's what they do, and then they have the Treehouse Live all week where they play the same games, but like they don't do the same type of conference or panel thing that the other big developers do. So Microsoft has the entire floor now. And I really feel like this is an act of hubris from Sony, because they're so far ahead in the console war in this generation that they feel like they've been burned from E3 this year by lacking games and lacking content, which they deserve to be criticized for, because they talked about like 4 games and then showed a couple in the background throughout when they're playing those instruments. And then they cancel PSX because they don't have enough games to have a whole entire celebration around for a weekend or whatever in December. So they're at this point where they're like, we don't need to compete with Microsoft because we're doing so well. So we'll just let them show off all the games, and people are going to play it on PS4 anyway, as long as it's not a Microsoft exclusive. So like, I think that's why they're doing it, and they're like, we can control our own event and have it in November of next year or something like that. Make it like a BlizzCon where you have once every year is where you get all the big Sony stuff. And I think that's actually a downfall. It could work out for them because they're very successful and they're up by such a large margin. But they just opened the door for Microsoft to absolutely kill E3 next year with no competition. Because if you remember E3 2018, a lot of people said Microsoft was like the best conference, or obviously better than Sony and Nintendo and all the other places. Like, so if they come out, by the way, here's the Xbox One 2. I don't know what they would call it, but like what
the Xbox 12.
Yeah, here's the brand new console of Xbox. It comes out fall 2019 or something like that. Here's 50 games. Remember when Destiny had those console exclusives with PlayStation? Well, now they're mad at PlayStation because they don't have a conference or a platform to present their content with. Now we have the exclusives. We have Destiny. We play Call of Duty again on Xbox like you did on 360. Play your sports games like you did on 360, and come back to Microsoft. And they can absolutely destroy with there's going to be no talk of Sony because they won't be there to defend themselves. And then 5 months later, they'll announce their project, which is going to be overpriced and going to be a year and a half away, when Microsoft is like, it comes out in 5 months.
Right. No, I mean, like, I wonder, because Sony's a big company, right? So they'll probably have done enough market research where this might be a good idea. And you kind of mentioned the new PlayStation, so it could be that at their next event that's what they're announcing. So that, they're saying we don't want our announcement to be lost in the weeds of whatever Microsoft and Nintendo are putting out. We're going to make this conference exclusively about, this is our new hardware. These are the games coming out with our new hardware. So it could be this, like, we don't want to be like, oh, also the things are on Microsoft. Halo 12 or whatever is coming out. Like, and, some people are like, oh, I'm also excited about Halo 12. Like, more Halo.
Bring it up.
So they're gonna be like, oh, this is our Sony con. This is gonna be PS5 con.
Right.
I could think of a better one.
That's fine. But not only that, I think I remember Funimation just got bought out by Sony, I think, as well.
Oh, really?
Isn't that right? Yeah, like all of the stuff that Funimation made that's on Crunchyroll is being removed. So because they're going over to a new platform, and I think it's because Sony bought them.
I remember, we talked about this. I can't remember.
Yeah, we talked about it briefly. But at the same time, wouldn't it be buck wild if at the next E3, Microsoft's like, hey guys, guess what? We bought Sony.
What?
We bought Nickelodeon.
Yeah. We bought Nickelodeon.
Get at us. What other cartoons you want?
Welcome to the next. We're not making the Xbox One or the PlayStation 5. We're gonna make the X Station.
X Station.
Brought to you by Nickelodeon and Pepsi. We bought Pepsi. Or Pepsi bought us.
Brought to you by Mountain Dew.
Everybody's just buying everybody. This way.
Yeah, exactly.
All this chaos just because Sony left E3.
Well, I wonder too, because you think about all the smaller, like you brought up Naughty Dog and stuff like that, Joe, Joe P. So you look at how E3, I remember E3 being such a big like mass of different game developers kind of coming out, and then as the console wars kind of ramped up, it seemed to just be, you would see your standalone games from certain game developers that you were excited about, but a lot of it was the Microsoft exclusives, the Sony exclusives and stuff. So maybe Sony's like, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm tired. And they pull out because they're saying, like as you were saying, Joe B, that they're so far ahead that they might still get enough market share. They might get enough attention just on their own standalone stuff that they really don't need to, I don't know, pay whatever money E3 is probably requiring that they pay in order to be showcased.
Mm-hmm. Why spend the money when they're just going to play the game on PS4 anyway?
I mean, Nintendo's been doing that for decades, right? You can't play a Mario on a Sony. You have to play on your whatever, your Switch, your Wii. So like they're just saying, well, people are gonna, if we build it, they will come. It's probably what Sony's doing. Is like, I don't want to give however millions of dollars to E3 for no reason if I'm just gonna be yelling at Microsoft the entire time or defending myself.
Am I gonna have to wait till next December if they bring PSX back to see what's up with Last of Us 2? You know what I mean? Like that's why E3 is great, but it's not, because we've already been waiting like 3 years now. This is like, you know what I mean? So either you're gonna give it a release date in the middle of like March or something with no press conference behind it, like you're just gonna have a blog post and release a trailer saying giving it a release date, or we have to wait even longer, be in the dark even longer about this and Death Stranding and all the other games that they've showed off. Like, so E3 is great being in the middle of the year because May and June and July are very dead times for games. Not a lot of big games come out, so all the news is about E3. So that's when the world is looking for information and new games to be coming out. So if you told us in June Last of Us is gonna come out in November, like we'll be excited because it's in the middle of a conference and there's like the whole gaming sphere is talking about E3. If you have a random YouTube trailer in the middle of April, like that's not going to be as exciting of an announcement or as hype of a reveal for a release date for a game that people have been waiting years for.
Yeah, you're right. It's probably gonna. I mean, it's probably gonna blow up in their face. They could be, crawling back to E3 in 2 years' time, when they realize that people do want, more frequent updates and not just things on Facebook. But I feel like a lot of the gaming community also hunts for a lot of information. I mean, I know I do. Whenever a game that I'm really interested in is coming out, I tend to hunt for information. And with quick access to everything on the Googles, we're able to just get whatever we want. And so I'm not saying that that's a good way of doing it, but I don't know if the format of E3 is dying a little bit because people are so easily, I mean, Sony has its own Twitter, I'm assuming. I don't really follow Sony's Twitter, but you're able to get information, immediately that things are happening. So I don't know if they're finding that, the event itself is just archaic now that, you can just get on the internet and find out the second an update's happening, there's umpteen number of game journalists covering certain aspects of things. That's fair. I don't know. It definitely could blow up in their face, which you're right. It probably is. Hubris is a good word. Like, I mean, it could be,
Yeah, we'll have to see what happens. There's like what's going to fill the spot? Like,
I want to know when they're making the new PS2. That's what I want to know.
Aren't they making a PS1 classic, right?
Oh my God, are they?
Yeah, they already have a listing of all the games coming out.
I said that years ago. TM.
give Dillon.
Sony owes me money.
Yeah, they're coming out with a PlayStation Classic, and I know that both the American version and the Japanese version both have 2 different sets of games on them as well.
Oh, sweet.
Oh.
Yeah, the Japanese version has more
Japanese games,
role-playing based games.
I think it's the word you're looking for is JRPGs.
That's right. That's fair.
The
Japanese game has German only games.
Yeah.
Well, the more American version had, I can't remember exactly, but it has more less of the JRPG games and more of the Western.
Right. That makes sense.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
just trying to rake in that Nintendo money, because Nintendo was printing money with those classics.
I have both of them. Yeah.
There you go. Yep. See, it's printing that money, baby.
I have both of them, and the only game combined I've played is Yoshi's Island.
Oh, really?
In all 51 games between those 2 consoles. So
now, do they have Mario, the Mario RPG, on there? Because if not.
They did,
yes,
actually.
Yeah, they do. Yeah,
they do? Oh my God.
They do because people were mad. It's like they put that, but not Chrono Trigger. So.
Oh yeah, I mean, but you can get Chrono Trigger on your cell phone. I played Chrono Trigger on my cell phone.
Right.
Yeah.
When I was bored at the DMV one day. I was like, time to go into court, lose to a frogman.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know what's gonna happen. I'm excited to see this E3. It's gonna be sad that Sony's not there, but
what if they are though? What if they just
if they just Stone Cold during in the middle of Microsoft's conference?
Yeah. Then they blow it up. They have all the people tied up, and they're like, "Meet us on the island, deathmatch time."
They have somebody dressed up as Joel and Ellie from The Last of Us, and just crack beers and get tossing them from the crowds and interrupting, kick Phil Spencer in the face.
Yeah. This is a hostile takeover.
That'd be fun. I really hope Microsoft crushes it. We need the better competition because this generation of consoles was not close at all. Sony just had the whole, had it the whole time and never had to worry. But competition would, breed creativity, as they say, and make it better for consumers on both ends. And I don't know about you guys, but I liked when 360 was on top. I had more fun as a gamer in the 360 generation than I have this generation. So.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that was the last generation I got into, was the PS3 360 generation. So that those are my fondest memories.
Yeah.
And I like Microsoft's. I mean, say what you will about their company. I like them as they're them sharing a lot of games cross-platform with PC, because I get access to a lot of the games that are the quote-unquote exclusive over time, right? They're not immediate release, but with the PlayStation 4, I had to borrow a friend's PlayStation 4 to play Bloodborne, because I wanted to play that game because I like hating myself, so I wanted to do it.
Oh man.
But I know that generally those Microsoft games, those come out on the PC. So, and I like that as a business model.
They're definitely more consumer friendly than Sony is.
They are. Yeah, they know their roots. They know where they came from. they came from computers.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to our two topics here. What do you want to do first, Fallout 76 or Pokemon?
We can do Pokemon. I just want to know, real quick question: is my man Pikachu in this one?
Well,
yes.
If you're looking for
he
Pikachu,
is.
I got some news for you because the games are called Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee. So Pikachu's the star of the game.
So the goal is to find Pikachu. He's at the very end.
On top of a mountain, you gotta find.
Perfect.
And then when you get to the top, it turns out you were actually just trying to find yourself the whole time.
Yeah, no, it ends up being a mirror.
A whole mental positivity storyline. No, so it's Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee. The first mainline Pokemon games on a console. They've all been on handhelds, and anything on a console before this was a spin-off game, but this is a core Pokemon game. It's a reimagining of Red and Blue, or technically Yellow, because it has all the Pikachu and Team Rocket, Jesse and James aspects of it. But a Gen 1 Kanto, back to the beginnings, 151 Pokemon thing. Very controversial when it first came out, when it was first announced, because they got rid of random encounters. Every Pokemon is now seen in the wild, like, so you don't just walk back and forth in a bush until something pops out. You see every Pokemon, and then once you get into that encounter, there is no battling wild encounters. It is only catching, like in Pokemon Go. So that is your way of earning experience. There are still battles, because you still battle trainers and gym leaders and the Elite Four and everything like that, but there are no wild battles like how you'd sit there outside the route before Brock's gym to try to level up your Squirtle.
When you leave a pile of Pidgeys in the grass,
right?
And you walk
Exactly.
up and punch a bunch of
So
rocks.
instead of murdering those Pidgeys, you now catch all of them, and that's how you get the experience. So this was a pretty big divide when it was first announced because of the hardcore community, who really didn't like that. They got rid of abilities. They got rid of eggs and breeding and EV training and everything. So a lot of hardcore mechanics that have been staples for over a decade now within these games are out to try to appeal to either younger audiences or people who play Pokemon Go on their phone but have not played a mainline Pokemon game. I can tell you.
I just want to cut in with you real
Sure.
quick. One of my coworkers loves Pokemon Go, and this weekend I got a picture message from them with them buying a Switch and the new Pokemon game because they wanted to play it because it was like Pokemon Go.
Did they choose Pikachu or Eevee?
I believe they chose Eevee.
All right, don't talk to them again.
Yeah, they're not. They're.
No, I'm just kidding.
They don't like our cool mouse friend.
No,
why not?
No.
Joe Brown, wait, Joe Brown, which one did you get?
I chose Pikachu. Remember we had this discussion?
Oh, because you wanted to evolve the Eevees.
Right. Because
But I hear you can catch more than one Eevee.
I have not caught any yet so far, and the one that they give you the one they give you for free, I've been told, I haven't gotten that far yet. I'm only four gyms in, but I've been told the one they used to give you for free in yellow doesn't give you the Eevee anymore, so you have to get it in a wild encounter, which sucks. But so Dillon knows, Eevee is my favorite Gen 1 Pokemon, so Joe was very upset with me when I decided I was going to get Let's Go Pikachu. But my reasoning is you can't evolve the Pikachu or the Eevee, and Pikachu, like, on his own merits, has some pretty good stats, and, like, you can conceivably use him as a Pokemon, and Eevee is an unevolved, like, the purpose of Eevee is to evolve when Pikachu stands on its own foot. And I like the evolutions of Eevee more than Eevee. So, like, I'm not going to sit here with an unevolved Eevee my whole way through Kanto.
Right. Yeah, I think I liked Eevee a lot because I like just being able to have a Pokemon that I could have on so many different hats, and just like you can kind of be like, oh, I'm running this sort of build of Pokemon, and so like I'm able to, whatever my weaknesses are, whatever type matching I don't have, I can just kind of fill that gap. So that makes sense why I get a Pikachu one. But I don't know. I liked being able to kill a bunch of small animals because like it kept me from killing real ones.
You know what?
So I don't know what I think about this.
Whatever it takes to make you a model citizen.
Just
keep you out of trouble.
Don't check my trunk.
So
I'm just
go ahead,
saying,
Joe,
like,
go ahead.
I still think that like this is a good move because it kind of like everybody's all about the immersion factor in these games now, and like now you kind of see you're like, oh, walking through the grass, oh, I could see the Pokemon now because this grass, number one, isn't that tall. Number two, you can now like avoid the random encounters that you don't want to get involved
No
with.
more Zubats.
Thank
Oh
God.
my God! Like that's like a quality of life thing that you could have just said to me, and I've been like, "Oh, marry me."
And that's what I want to that's what I want to hit on in
That's fair.
so I've played for 11 hours so far. I've been streaming it and my friend's been watching. Joe was watching for a little bit. He saw me catch a Bulbasaur. Or no, he missed it.
No,
Wait, no,
I
you
got
saw
it right. I got it right as you did it.
Right. So I've been
Or when the ball
streaming
was
it.
flung.
Yep. And like the quality of life is the perfect way to explain this new game and why it's so good. Where I was not excited for it, many of my friends, I'm very involved within the competitive Pokemon community with like the video game championships, and we're all about competitive. So this game was not music to our ears. It was chalkboard, nails on a chalkboard to our ears. The opposite of what we wanted. And a lot of people are like, they want it to fail because they want to make the games more hardcore and stuff. I wasn't a part of that crowd. I was like, I'm still going to play it. I love Yellow is my favorite Pokemon game. I'm just going to have a fun time. It's not, whatever. 11 hours in, and I have had more fun than all of Generation 7. I don't know why, but like there's just something about it, and I think it is those quality of life changes. So the wild Pokemon, they still spawn in a wild encounter way. Like it's not like if you pick it up or you run into it, then there's no spawn and you have to leave and come back. Like they still spawn randomly, but you see them. So when I'm going through Mount Moon and I see every stupid Zubat and Golbat, I can avoid it. But when I see a Geodude on a battle or an Onix or something like that, I can go and interact with it. So that's great. Your PC is essentially with you at all times in your bag. So your box of Pokemon, since you're catching so many of them, that's the way you experience and level up. You can switch them out in and out whenever you want. So like you just caught you're in Viridian Forest and you just caught a level 4 Caterpie, but then you get another one and it's a level 6 Caterpie. You're like, oh well, this one's only one away from evolving, and you don't have to go back to town to switch it out. It's in your bag right there. You switch them out. You can change nicknames whenever you want. There's no name rater in one specific location.
Oh my God.
Like and the games have never looked better. Like people crack on it because it's not Dark Souls and it's not like 1080, 4K, whatever. Like, look at these realistic graphics. Like, but like when you look at it on a console, these games are gorgeous. It has a specific art style it's going for, and it fits it perfectly. And like, I'm very watching how beautiful this game looks now for just Gen 1. I can't wait for what Generation 8 is going to look like with these updated console powered graphics, because we've been stuck on handhelds for the last 20 years holding us back. So there's just so many little things that benefit more than the negatives of only being able to catch wild Pokemon to earn experience. You know what I mean? Like it outweighs the negatives.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah,
I can see that.
I think that like graphically though, like if a Pokemon game looked like Dark Souls, that'd be a real horror show.
Oh my God. Like the
Thinking about
Pikachu
that,
movie?
like a Venonat.
Yeah,
Oh God.
if they all looked realistic, like Detective
Yeah.
Pikachu. Yeah.
It'd be yeah, exactly. If they all talked like Ryan Reynolds, it would be a real scary time.
Yeah, I don't know.
There's definitely been some changes, and it is absolutely easier. Like another reason I don't like the Eevee version is they've essentially had to rebalance the entire way that Pokemon is played. So, in order to make it easier or more accessible to people who haven't played Pokemon games, they've added different moves and changed base power of different things, just so the battles aren't as difficult, so you can enjoy your time more. Which on the surface, you're like, okay, that makes sense. No one ever said Pokemon had to be hard. So if you want to make some things like that, it's fine. But Eevee gets can learn both Pokemon, Pikachu and Eevee, can learn these special moves that they have like really dumb names like Slizzy Slide and like like just like silly names like that because it's geared towards kids, and they're all based off of different typings. And Eevee can learn a move of each of its evolutions types.
Oh, okay.
So if
So they get
you're
around some of that like evolving stuff by like allowing you to have a type move.
right, so that's how they do it. They compensate since you're stuck with little Eevee. Oh, you're about to go beat Erica. She is grass types. Why don't you just learn this overpowered fire move that Eevee doesn't actually normally have access to and go pub stomp her gym? Oh, you're about to face Blaine and fire. Why don't you learn Vaporeon's move for it and just completely trivialize the battle? Like
Right.
so, and by changing base power, they've added these different moves or gotten rid of other ones. So in order to balance it out, because why would you ever choose Eevee over Pikachu if statistically, like base stat total, Pikachu is better than Eevee? They've completely changed how Pokemon is played and the core mechanics of it just to make both of them viable, because essentially your Eevee and your Pikachu are just unstoppable monsters with these moves that either like always have critical hits or always burn or always get another status. Like it just it trivializes a lot of the game, to be honest. So I'm having more fun leaving Pikachu in the back, just like having him as my partner, walking around with me and playing with the other Pokemon that I catch, like in a more traditional sense. You know what I mean? Because I could just have Pikachu go out there and stomp everything, but like that doesn't. I'm not building a bond with the rest of my party. It's just with Pikachu, you know. So,
Right.
Yeah,
So
I understand.
I'm gonna touch on something Joe said, Joe P, so that Joe B, you can kind of talk on it a little bit more. So Joe, you kind of mentioned that your friend who's never played Pokemon before is, played Pokemon Go rather, and is excited to get into it. And then you, Joe B, mentioned that the game, I'm you didn't really say this, outright, but you are kind of hinting the game might be a little bit easier than older Pokemon games.
Oh, well, that's
right?
the intention. They're designing it to make it simpler. Yeah.
And now I'm seeing that a little bit in some other, I really, the only single player games I like a full story game that I've played in the last few years have been the Dark Souls series. I love games where I'm just beating my head against the wall, and like I love games like that. So it'd be interesting. Like, are you seeing that on the Nintendo? Because I don't have a Switch either. So are you seeing that more in the Nintendo? That their new kind of strategy is to make games more accessible to larger numbers of people. And then you have, the hardcore community, like you were saying, don't really want that. And now since you're kind of at the crossroads between, somebody who's casually enjoying the game, but also has a, connection to the hardcore scene of like, those kind of video games, how are you seeing their new like strategy play out in a positive or negative way?
I think it's a great question, and they are, let's say, Game Freak. Now, I don't know about Nintendo as a whole, but Game Freak is 100% worried and concerned about difficulty. When you look Black and White and Black 2, White 2, Generation 5, very considered by a lot of people as a very difficult, if not the most difficult generation, except for maybe Gen 1, just because of lack of like quality. That makes it difficult. Like you can only hold 20 items, and like there's only like 5 stats instead of 6 stats. Like so that makes it hard because of inability. But with all of the things created equal, Gen 5 is probably the most difficult generation, and they got a lot of flack for that, because if you don't like Gen 5, it's like you don't like it. Like it's a very divisive generation, Unova. And so with Generation 6 and X and Y and Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire, they became much simpler games. You got remember bonus experience where you could have experience share, where you had one unit in your party would get it. Now your entire party has experience share the whole time.
This new game,
right? Since Generation 6.
Oh wow!
So
I didn't know that.
Since 2013, right?
That's
so
really nice.
they've done a lot of like quality of life changes like that to make the game simpler and easier to get through, because Junichi Masuda, music composer and game director at Game Freak, has done many articles and many interviews where he has stated that they're constantly worried about people being turned away from Pokemon. So new players, not 20-year-olds, 25-year-olds like us who've been playing, who are locked in, we need it like a drug for 20 years. But they're afraid they're going to lose new players because there's mobile games and there's free-to-play games that they can pick up and play, excuse me, whenever they want. So if they're stuck in a gym or they're stuck in a maze, I'm just gonna go play some gacha game on my phone. Is their concern?
Right.
So
I mean, and that makes sense, right? And which but like, who needs those weebs who can't beat the Pokemon? Just kick them out.
Right.
Yeah.
That's my thing. That's what Joe and I were talking about. when we went in there to beat Brock with our Pikachu because we watched the anime, and then Onyx is immune to
realized-
Thundershock. That
Yeah.
22 years later, I'm still here. I'm still a fan. You know what I mean? That
Realizing
didn't turn me away.
You can't charge up your Pikachu with a water wheel and then have it shock the sprinkler system. And you're like, what? This anime lied to me.
Right. Exactly. So they're constantly trying to balance it, and I think Generation 7, so Sun and Moon and Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, the latest games, they did the worst job possible. Because everyone is like, these games are too handholdy. The cutscenes, like, they literally tell you, like, 10 feet from where you were, okay, go this way. Hey, meet me over here. Hey, what are you doing? Meet me over here. Like, the whole time, because they're afraid of little 6-year-olds who are starting they're starting their first adventure, that they're just not going to like Pokemon. So,
which is interesting because you think about where did their fan base come from? Their fan base came from people who would like play those difficult games, get frustrated, then buy Nintendo Power or whatever. I'm not saying like they, that that's like, really
or buy like the guidebooks and things like that.
Right, exactly. People who like had a passion for it and wanted to. Those are the people you're going to have your entire life, right? Those impassioned players, the people who like. I feel like when you're insulting your fan base and your player base a little bit, you run the risk of losing, as you said, you run the risk of losing a lot of people. Because and I
know a lot of hardcore Pokemon fans who are boycotting this game. Like a lot of my friends I refuse to play this game because they're deliberately not marketing to me. And we helped them get to this stage. This is the first mainline game on a console for Pokemon. We helped them get there, and this is how they repay us.
Right.
Well, it's like you talk about people being determined and wanting to and like being there for life. I'm like, look at Joe Brown. Joe Brown has been playing these games since we were kids.
Yeah, look at him.
Look at him.
Look at me.
You want to be like him where he goes to Pokemon tournaments and he talks about Pokemon? No, but Joe Brown loves the games and he continuously plays them. And like for the people that are like boycotting it, like I get it that you're a little bit annoyed and you're upset that they're not tailoring it to you, but like this game looks great. Like it looks really fun.
It's so fun, man. Just turn off the hardcore valve in your head and just enjoy it for what it is. And like, just the graphics are great. My Pikachu's wearing a bow tie. Like, it's so much fun, man. Like, and I still can't. Like, I've been talking to my friends. Like, I played so much of Generation 7 because it's what I do as a passion competitively, and like, it's just such a slog when they're holding your hand through the entire game, and a year later they make the exact same game with like 10 different cutscenes. And they didn't even unify it. Remember, back in my day, it was red and blue and then yellow, and then gold and silver and then crystal, ruby, sapphire, and then emerald. Like, you can keep going on. It went from Sun and Moon to Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, and there were exclusives. Like, it wasn't Pokemon Stars like it should have been. It should have been a unified version like Yellow and Crystal and stuff, and they didn't. And like, I'm here 4 hours in, and I'm like, I am just enjoying it for what it is. It's not what I want, which is like a Breath of the Wild Pokemon where you can do gyms in any order you want and increase difficulty and all that stuff. Like, so I'm not upset that doesn't exist. I am just playing what they have given me, and it is so much more fun than what the last couple of years Game Freak has given me, except for Detective Pikachu. It does. That's great.
I do want to touch on the naming convention. They know that red and blue makes purple, right?
Yeah.
What? When you put them together.
It's not, yellow was not.
I'm just kidding.
I never thought of that. No, because you're not trying to mix it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Their primary colors, Dillon. God. Go back to art school.
Oh.
Well, yeah, and I get that hardcore thing, and I was the same way because I used to play a lot of Smash. I actually did some Smash competitions, but I only play Melee like you should. But just because the new games come out. I'm just that was my I hated the slipping in Brawl. I hated all that, and they got rid of it. I understand, but like just certain things, I loved the fast pace of Melee, but just because a new game comes out doesn't invalidate the old games. Like if you're really competitive and you really like that version, like I played Melee pretty much. After all the new ones came out, I still went back to Melee because it was the one I liked, and like that didn't. I wasn't like, oh, the new ones are bad and they did me dirty. I was just like, oh, I'll just play that one with my friends casually, and then when I'm really getting into it, I'm gonna play the old one.
We don't want to stop at the fools. We're gonna put that Brawl disc in.
I'm gonna try and get Dr. Mario up on the tier.
I was gonna ask who your main was.
Dr. Mario.
Wow,
He's a hard one to run.
That's a hill to climb, man.
Oh yeah, I loved him though. I would smash some fools though.
Wow, nice. Yeah, I love Melee too, but I've played more Smash 4, and like I love the Smash 4 competitive scene, like watching all the tournaments. And are you at least gonna play Ultimate? Like if you're over a friend's house, like
yeah, that's the thing is, and then that's kind of what I'm getting at. Like I'm not gonna say that just because this game isn't like 100% catered to me, and that I'm not gonna play it. Like I think they all have their place to be fun. If the game is fun, like you said, you play hardcore, Pokemon. The new Pokemon game's fun. It can still be fun.
Mm-hmm.
Like. The only thing I will say that I will never play because I've played it and it's just trash is the second Dark Souls. I refuse to play it.
Okay, I've never played any of them. So.
Oh man, if you're looking to have a real bad time, that's a game to get into. A game that just is never easy.
That game like just poops on you constantly.
It's so
like,
good.
oh, you want to do this thing? How about you die like 27 times and you can maybe do the thing if I decide you've died enough.
Isn't that how life goes though? You just die 27 times.
Speaking of dying a ton, this is gonna be a great transition to our Fallout.
Yes, 100%. But just last thought, totally recommend Let's Go Pikachu or Eevee, whichever one you want. Like to anybody listening, don't listen to the hardcore audience just because whatever. Yeah. It's supposed to be a simple game. Enjoy it for it being simple and looking at the cute animations and getting like a shiny Pokemon, whatever. All right, Fallout.
Yeah, have fun.
Yes.
Yeah. Have fun, kids.
Fun. Catch the Pokeballs.
Catch them balls.
Well, no, use the Pokeballs to
use
catch
them
the Pokemon.
Use them balls to catch them Pokemons.
Yeah.
There we go.
Anyway, so Fallout 76 has been out not even a week yet, I believe.
4 days. I said 8 days. 4 days.
It has been out for 4 days. And we'll start out by saying it's a great game. They did a very good job with it. But I am very annoyed with it at the current moment because I haven't even told Dylan about this yet. I was playing it, and I ran across a part of a quest that I was doing, and I was by myself, and I was like, oh man, this will be great. I can continue to do this quest and continue to do my stuff. And then in the middle of doing it, I came across some ghouls, and I was like, and for everybody who plays Fallout, you know what a ghoul is, and you're just like, oh great, I could totally melt these guys. Turns out these ghouls are level 42 and 61. I don't even know an enemy could be higher than 50 because I've only encountered the Scorch Beast who is level 50, and this enemy is 62 and I'm level 25.
I see. I understand that you're mad at that, but
real quick.
But that game is. I love that game does that because that kind of harkens back to what we're saying with Dark Souls games, where it's like you can just walk in and be wildly underpowered for a situation. I love that kind of stuff. Being like walking into a room, being like over or underdressed, and being like, "Oh, I shouldn't be here. I gotta leave."
Well, the thing was
great.
Well, the thing was, it was mixed in. It was like, 22, 23, and then it was like 62, and there's not supposed to be any enemies here because I'm supposed to be collecting holotapes.
So they said, my dad can beat up your dad, and they went and got their dad. They come beat me up.
Exactly, and he whooped me. Not only that, a random Scorch Beast decided to come and chill and kill me 17 times.
Honestly, this all sounds like a positive for this game. All right,
it made me so mad.
So Fallout 76. For those who don't know, the first Fallout game that is multiplayer and online. And it's the first Fallout game I've ever played.
Yes, this is the first Fallout game Dylan's played.
It's my first Fallout game. And I've been reading a bunch of reviews on it and a bunch of flame war-y videos on YouTube about it. And I mean, I'm enjoying myself. I like it a lot. I haven't seen the history, and I know there's a lot, and I understand. BlackRock. I think it was BlackRock Isles, BlackRock Studios made the original, and then it got picked up by Bethesda, and I understand all that, and it looks, that history looks really fun. I'm having fun with my friends. I like that I can do a single player situation like Joe said, and I don't see anybody. Like it feels, even though it's multiplayer, I think it's only 24 people per server, and that map's massive.
The map is enormous.
So like the likelihood you're going to run into like some guy, like when you hear shooting in the distance, it's more likely that it's like, monsters fighting monsters, and it's going to be some random guy. Like I was actually playing earlier today, and I went to an area that was infested with like super mutants, so these big, buff green guys. and I hear a bunch of shots and I see somebody running away, and I kind of wave at them, and then we both proceeded to clear out the camp together, and we just gave each other thumbs up and we parted ways. It was a nice experience. Like, we never really exchanged words. I helped him out. He was lower level than I was. He was trying to take out this like high level area and get some gear, and we helped each other out, and it was kind of nice. He basically absorbed a lot of the bullets as he ran around, and I shot all them.
Yeah,
It was a good time.
And like, besides my anger towards like the higher level encounters that I've been getting, like, it's a fun game. The most of the time, the only time you see actual other people is either when you're working with your team, or if you're doing along those main story missions, which is where it makes sense that other people are going to be doing that as well. But other than that, like, I hardly bump into people. Like, I'm out there, I'm in the wasteland, I'm doing my thing, I'm bumping into crazy monsters and doing crazy things. People are building up their camps. Like, we've only just recently, while we were playing now, had come into an issue of people having their camps in similar areas to like our friends' camps. So that's just starting to become an issue now, but that's only like a random happenstance at the moment. But it's fun. I'm having VATS. I still think VATS works great.
I've heard some really bad things about the VATS, Joe. Like, people are like, why the hell is this in the game if it's not how it, like, it doesn't work the way it does in the other games, and therefore it's not as useful. And they would rather just not. This is what I've heard from reviews. They'd rather just shoot regularly than use the VATS because it doesn't work the way that they want it to.
So the way that
fill me in.
I was gonna say the original way the VATS used to work was that time would freeze and you got to pick on the body what part you wanted to hit. Now, if you're gonna tell me that you're gonna complain that you can't personally shoot a dude's arm off with the VATS system, I think you have a bigger problem to deal with than playing this game. Because what the VATS system does now is it does an auto aiming. You turn it on, it tells you a percentage of how likely you're gonna hit the target, and then you just click the button and it does it. You don't have to move your mouse. You don't have to do anything. You click the button, the bullet curves to the enemy. Even if you're not even aiming at it, the bullet moves to the enemy and hits it.
Yeah,
like, I don't see a problem with it.
Oh, sorry. So a use case that I really like is I have spec'd kind of like sniper rifles, kind of that, non-automatic rifles, and I love it because it gives more versatility to a gun that I have that has a scope on it. So even when I'm up close, there's a chance that I'll actually be able to kill an enemy if I run out of ammo for my other guns, which I tend to. So I'll run out of ammo for my fully automatic weapons, and I'm like, oh crap, all I have is this sniper rifle, and I'm up in front of something. I can flip on VATS, and there's a 95% chance I'm going to hit it, even though it's a sniper rifle. I don't have to aim down sights and wildly try and scope in on something that's 2 feet away from me. So for that kind of use case, it's great, and it's fast paced. Like, it doesn't detract away from the game, at least for me. And honestly, like, it helps me find some enemies I just can't see where they're shooting at me from. I'm like, I don't know where this guy's shooting at me from, and I hit VATS. I'm like, oh, he's over there, and then like I'm able to kind of zero in a little bit.
Like, unless I don't understand what the huge issue is with people not liking the VATS. I'm guessing it's because they can't pick where they want to hit it, and it doesn't give them time to think about what they want to do.
Though I think there's a perk card that allows you to aim with VATS.
Yeah, it does. I just actually applied it to my character before we started talking. It allows you to pick. It automatically will start aiming at limbs, so it shoots limbs off. But Joe Brown, what have you heard about the VATS system from other people, from some of these reviews? Because to be honest, as a person who's played 3, 4, New Vegas, and all of the DLC for 4, I really don't see. Like, I enjoy this game, and you know how much I enjoy single player story based games, and this was a single player story based game type of genre, but it's now a multiplayer, and I'm still having fun with it.
Oh, I do know that you enjoy those, because I also enjoy that type of gameplay, Joe.
I know you do.
So, like, reviews that I've watched have said, like, just a bunch of different things, like that it doesn't feel, even though when you are aimed on, it doesn't feel like it's hitting, or it's an effective way to do combat or battles. I don't know if I should say combat, whatever word we want to use. Also, there have been times, because of it being online, that like without moving, your percentage will change because of ping or whatever. So you can go from 95 to 10 to back and forth or whatever. Like, it just seems like a contradiction of how that system was originally intended by now being online. So I'm not agreeing that like it should be, time should stop, because obviously that wouldn't make sense. You're in a online game where everything is constant. It's not single player. You can't just pause. You can't say, "Mom, I can't pause an online game." Like that's
Yeah.
that's what we have right now. But it seems I don't want to say like half in or half baked or whatever, but from the reviews I've seen, again, not a Fallout player, just the things that I've read online, that if it doesn't work at its peak way, I guess, or intended game mechanic, then why is it even needed for this online version?
Well, I think that it being included doesn't detract away from the game.
Yeah.
So I know a lot of people who say like if it's not 100% perfect, then take it out. That doesn't really make any sense to me, like logically, right? So like you just don't hit Q, just don't use it, just shoot then. Like it doesn't mean you can't shoot guns if you don't use VATS. Like that's just an added thing. And honestly, like I didn't use it for the first like 15 hours I played because I kept forgetting to do it, and I was still a pretty effective killer. And then I started doing it. I think I'm more effective now in those situations, like I said, when I run out of ammo and all I have is my bolt action sniper rifle and I'm up in someone's grill.
Yeah, it also doesn't
beating
give
them
you
to death.
Yeah, and it doesn't give you like an upper advantage, like the upper hand if you're doing the PvP combat, because you're still moving around super fast and you can run behind them and their shot could miss them completely. Like as your character moves, the percentage of how likely it's going to hit you changes. So I don't know, like the VATS isn't like a huge concern of mine in this game. Like, there's other things that bother me.
I will say, Joe, though, to your point, or Joe B, to your point, I have seen like times where just suddenly the VATS will go to 0% and then 95%. I have seen that too. And I understand that there are, I mean, just like with any new implementation of an online game, there's going to be server side issues that are going to need to be resolved. And, I mean, the game's been up for 4 days, like,
right.
And they don't know how many people are, they might get better tick servers where their latency's lower. But I mean, honestly, like, I feel like, and I think I just got like the just above the base model, the base edition version, like I think the 85, maybe $60, $78, whatever it was. I think I'm gonna get my money's worth in this game. I'm gonna play long enough that I'm gonna feel like I'm gonna get my money's worth. And then like, I mean, really, that's all I can ask, because I've purchased several, a ton of AAA games where I've been like, I just don't feel like I'm gonna get my money's worth in this game. But I can see being like,
that's good.
I really want. Yeah, like I want to make a 3-story house now. Like I never really liked that kind of stuff, but I like being able to build my house and then put turrets on it. That's really fun. And then walk up to it and be like, oh, a bunch of frogs. Literally, I walked in, a bunch of deer were kicking my like generators to death earlier today, and they had already kicked my turrets to death. And I was like, these deer do not kid around.
They don't mess around.
Like literally, these level 6 rad stags, these 2-headed deer just kicked my house apart. I was like, oh dang. Oh, nerds.
All right, let's get into the story, because a lot of people love the worlds that Bethesda build in their game, and I'm interested. This was my most anticipated portion of Fallout 76 when we first learned about it at E3, is that balance of the single player or story-based experience versus the online, always online, other interacting character multiplayer aspect of the game. So you say it's a very large map, and there's your group or whatever can only have a max of 24. I don't know the right term to use, but like your server, right? Your server can only have up to 24 on a large map. So how do they balance? They don't want it to be too barren where you never run into too many people, but they don't want it to be, they don't want it to be Fortnite Tilted Towers where everyone's always together. And how do other people either enhance or detract from your experience with the story? I'm curious.
So basically this is what happens. Like Fallout 76, the basic understanding of what your Fallout shelter was this is the first Fallout shelter to open to the wasteland. It's been 25 years since we closed up in the shelter. We're opening it up. You're going to go out there and you're going to rebuild the world. So knowing that, other people are supposed to be in this world with you. The other players in the game are the people that are supposedly from your vault. Now, what you do is you follow these holotapes from your overseer. An overseer in the Fallout game is the person who kind of ran and pretty much like the president of your vault is what it essentially is. So you follow these holotapes of your overseer kind of going through a mission, and every time you hit one of them, you have to do a certain task to continue forward. Now, that's the main mission. This world has hundreds of side missions from what I've been finding. Like, I find a random key inside something, guess what? I've got a mission to do. I've got to go unlock the door in the mines and search the mines for something. The game's story is pretty much told through notes, holotapes, and robots.
Yeah.
Instead of non-playable
or even
characters.
subtle. They have a lot of subtle storytelling, which is nice, right? So what I glean a lot of is like I get a lot of information from, let's say, because you'll see in the wasteland, you'll see a lot of dead bodies. You'll see skeletons, you'll see raider bodies, which are just like dead raiders or settlers, or the last one is like these irradiated husks of people, almost like they were caught out in the blast of like charred, like radiated remains. I was in an area earlier today that there was a guy holding his hands up like at a podium giving a sermon, and the entire congregation was irradiated. And so so not only is the storytelling, like Joe said, holotapes, robots, and notes and things, you're also getting a lot of feeling of what the world was like the moment the bombs were dropped, because everything's kind of snuffed out in an instant. Right, so you've seen people in their daily lives. You see a mother protecting its baby. You see somebody on the toilet, like things that like people were doing in their daily lives, where you're getting storytelling, you're getting atmosphere without having to read a notebook or listen to a holotape. So that in my mind has made more of an impression than some of the words that have been said.
Yeah, like we keep finding skeletons doing random things.
Right, shopping carts.
Our friend Jesse found one on the toilet. I found one stuck in a dump, like putting trash into a dumpster.
Right, we found one at a typewriter, and he just started typing. Like he only got one sentence in. He was toasted. Like fishing, like little things like that. We're just like, man, this was like a living, breathing world, before the bombs dropped.
Yeah, and it's interesting. Like I was saying this earlier today, or right before we started recording when I was playing it. I found, like, our friend Jesse had found a skeleton up in a mountain with like a pickaxe through its eye, and I had also stumbled across the same kind of scene, and I kind of like that scene because this guy has a pickaxe stuck in his head, and he has a gun, and another person is laying directly next to him. So you could tell that there was an altercation here. These two men got into a fight and killed each other, but you don't know how long ago that happened. But you could tell, like, these people were here doing something, and that's neat. There's a lot of neat things that you come across. Like, it's like they have such little details that you kind of just appreciate in the game.
Right. You know the setting's a big deal too, right? So it's set in West Virginia. It's set near Seneca Rock, at least from what I've been able to tell, because I was traversing Seneca Rock and kind of near the Monongahela National Forest.
Yeah.
And the great thing about that is they really seem to have done. I know people have praised this before, but I will agree to, having spent a lot of time in West Virginia, that they really did a lot of their research on the culture of West Virginia. They did a lot for the mining culture, which is huge. They did a lot for like the natural history culture, and just they seem to have really like done their research on the music, the general atmosphere, the clothing people wore. Like I was at ski resorts, and you get like ski clothing. You see even like the monsters are wearing ski hats and stuff, which is very fun. And so like you see like this really like grotesque monster wearing this little like puffball hat, and you're like, that's fun.
You're like, oh, that's cute.
And you knock its dome off and you shoot it. It's great. So like the atmosphere is I say the praise I can give it is just like not high enough. It's such a good, like, even just walking around today, I turned the radio off, which you can have on or off, a few stations. I just kind of walked around and just like looked at stuff. I could hear like irradiated squirrels running in the distance, like all this kind of these fun little things that you wouldn't be able to get in a different genre. But I never saw anybody except for that one guy. There's one guy I saw, and I was playing for like 2 hours earlier today. So you can go to the high traffic areas if you want, or you can just run around the forest and just see what kind of stuff you find.
Yeah, so. It's like the game kind of just like opens it up to do whatever you want, just like how the Fallout games have all been. And to also like kind of tell Dillon and go off of what he was saying, they do a lot of research in the areas of the games that they're doing. Like when they did Fallout 3. Bethesda literally went to DC, took pictures, took notes, did research. They were there for like 2 months researching what it was, because the Fallout 3 took place in the DC area. So they knew what the White House looked like, what the Capitol building was going to look like. They did all of this research to make it what it could be, like exactly how it was going to be if a bomb dropped in this area. this is how it's gonna look.
But
We're gonna
for clarity, they are in Bethesda, Maryland, right? So it's like a bike ride away from.
Well, some of them
DC.
are. Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
I'm just joking around here. But
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
For
but
the
like,
other ones
they
like
went- they went-
Boston and Vegas and now West
They
Virginia.
went
and
all
stuff.
the way on 95.
Well, well, to
They didn't
correct
camp
you-
out outside the White House for 2 months. They took they carpooled a half hour or whatever. to
Yeah,
DC.
So,
Todd
like-
was out. Todd was out there yelling at
Todd
whoever.
Howard.
Yeah, like crazy guy signs. Like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
But
Be in my game. Love me.
Bethesda didn't make New Vegas. Just Bethesda New Vegas was made by a different group using.
it was
the
like a
Fallout
mod
3.
group, right? Something like that.
Yeah. I'm
Because they
looking
made
it
3,
up.
right? That's when they picked it up, right? So Fallout. I think BlackRock made 1 and 2, and then they picked up at 3, and then they took the turn based into a shooter.
Yeah,
what I understand.
Bethesda took over, and made 3, and then a developer called Obsidian Entertainment made New Vegas,
Right.
and they're
Which
also
I mean,
make,
it's funny because like their first group is BlackRock, right? And then you name it could have just
Yeah.
been the guys from BlackRock because it's Obsidian.
Obsidian.
I don't know.
They just got better over the years. Turned into
Yeah,
Obsidian.
exactly. They were under a lot of heat and pressure.
yeah. But now I think they're also making Obsidian Entertainment is also making the other Fallout game that's using the Fallout 4 engine, Fallout Miami, which is supposed to come out sometime next year. So
Okay.
It's like a new modeled world taking place in Miami, Florida after everything happened, but it's using pretty much the same mechanics of what Fallout 4 is. Which is also kind of exciting. Like I'm pretty excited to see how they're going to do that. But yeah, they do. I don't know what I was getting at with this. I think I was just
Well, it's something
We
interesting.
feel
like,
you.
We feel you.
you said something that's actually kind of interesting. It's something I've heard a lot from different game journalists is the use of the same engine. People
Yeah.
were getting kind of, I mean, like obviously they had to tweak some parts of the engine to make it multiplayer, but a lot of the elements of Fallout 4, from what I've read, are carried over into Fallout 76. Right?
Oh,
So you
yeah,
have like the base building
exactly.
stuff, like, you have a lot of that stuff. And I hear a lot of people getting really mad about that.
well.
I
I don't understand what people.
don't know. I mean, like again, I've harkened back to Dark Souls a ton of times, but they've used the same GD engine. This is basically
Yeah.
since the first game, and I couldn't be happier. They just reskin it. They add a couple tweaks. They like try some stuff out and take some stuff away. But I mean, Bloodborne to Dark Souls 1 through 3, the engine's practically the same. I mean, at least in terms of feel. Like I don't know if there's a number difference, but it feels the same.
But even the engine, like when I mean engine, I guess I don't really mean engine. Like the Fallout 2, Fallout 4, and the Fallout 3 engine are pretty much exactly the same, except the graphics are upped.
Right.
So
Yeah,
what
they build up every so they have the
Right,
same
right.
base, I guess, coding or whatever they inputs they have, but through every game they get better and more skilled in that engine, so they make it look better and they get more performance out of it.
So the thing I think people were really annoyed about, they were like, "Oh man, this is just like Fallout 4." It's like, well, did you listen to what they said when they were talking about it? This game was being developed alongside Fallout 4. Like they'd released Fallout 4, and they were also like they were working on Fallout 4, finishing it and releasing it, but they were also like, "Hey, we're making a multiplayer game at the exact same time."
Right. Which it sounds like what they're doing with the Miami, as you just mentioned, right? They're kind of developing all at the same time.
Yeah, but like I said, Miami's a different.
It's a different company. Sorry.
Yeah,
I missed that.
that's fine. It's like I said, it's a completely different company. They just take the engine that Fallout uses and they make their own world, own quests, and own characters. Like they're completely different companies, but they work together with it. Like Bethesda lets them do it. But
and Bethesda still gets the credit.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Well, people always think it's Bethesda. It's like, no, they didn't do it. But
no, it's because their games are buggy messes. And God, do I
Okay, can we talk about the bugs then? Cause what's been going?
Yeah.
What's a fun bug? Did you become naked? I heard something about that when you change your clothes.
Oh my god!
Become
We've
naked.
seen that.
People get these
some
big
T
long necks, like
poses.
these big ostrich necks. Sometimes when you kill one of the scorchers, their neck like pops up, like they're like, huh?
Yeah.
It's like up periscope. It's awesome.
Yeah. The movement animations for a lot of the enemies that I was fighting wasn't loading, so a character was just like floating on the ground towards me. I was fighting like crickets and they weren't moving. They were just like sliding across the ground.
which might be scarier.
Yeah, that was actually more terrifying to me.
It's like, are they not moving? Or are their legs moving so fast that it's like a blur? Looks like they're going still.
One of the bugs that I caught was that I healed myself while I was being attacked, and it was healing me, and every time I got attacked, it continued to heal me. So I wasn't losing any health for a little bit, and then I don't know what happened. The game decided to catch up with itself, and I started losing health after like a little bit. But it allowed me to put a lot of damage onto somebody to kill them.
Right.
So,
I mean, and I think that bugs are gonna. I mean, I know that like there can be arguments made on either side for games that are gonna be. Should you release a game when it's completely done? And there's that quote from Miyamoto, I think, in Nintendo, that was like, a good game released early will always be bad, but a game released late will always be good, or whatever. I'm paraphrasing it, but basically, he's getting at like it's better to wait for a game to be done, But unfortunately,
a game that's delayed will eventually be good. But a buggy game released on time will forever be bad. Like that.
Yeah, exactly. So that quote is thrown out a lot when you see these games released and patch notes and stuff. But we kind of like going back to the very beginning. People want stuff to be released, right? So like people like when you were talking about E3 and you getting so excited about something that's gonna be released, like if you're announced it in June, it comes out, or whatever, not in July and it comes out in November, you get really excited. But if you're like, announcing it in July and it doesn't come out till next summer, and then this gets delayed again, you're like, oh my god. And then eventually, but the problem with that is you get so much buildup of like hype. The hype train gets so high for games that haven't been released yet. And so I don't know if releasing games early and then patching them is their way of getting around some of that hype stuff. I don't know. I mean, like some games are great. Like Breath of the Wild was delayed a ton of times and it released and it was awesome. It's a fun game. Yeah. But then you have like Last Guardian, which was released, and I don't even think anybody played that game that much. Yeah. You know what I mean?
And like every game has a day one patch now, so it's just the norm in the industry.
I think that's the norm now, and people get really mad about it with Bethesda games, and I don't want to know, but like I don't think people who are getting mad about it have ever played a Bethesda game, because they're all broken forever. That's just how they are. That's just how they operate. But
that's part of the fun.
That's part of the fun, and it's like. Non-crazy bugs withstanding, I haven't encountered a bug yet that has really been like game breaking. There's been one side mission I haven't been able to do because it's bugged, but like then I was just like, oh, I'm gonna go do my other 30 side missions I have to do then. Okay, let me go do this other one. So I just haven't really encountered a bug that's really been like enough to turn me away from the game.
But that's the other thing. Bethesda's games never have a bug that break the game. They're always just like, oh, I clipped through a wall. Oh, this dude's neck isn't right. Oh, the power armor is acting weird. There's only been bugs that like break the game, or people who literally go out of their way to try to break the game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like some dude was like, I saw some dude, he was like, I'm gonna see if there's a bug where you don't have to join any of the factions in the game.
God, I hate fractions.
Yeah. So he was like, I'm gonna just kill everybody. So he tried to do it, and he couldn't get past like the first like 10 minutes of the game, because you kind of have to join with a group at the beginning of this Fallout 4, not Fallout 76. You have to join with this group for you to progress through the game at the beginning, because you end up joining all of them. So you have all of these missions to do, and then you pick which one you want to like eventually end the game with. But like people just go out of their way to like break things.
Yeah,
it's like it's like
people do that with Spider-Man too. They wanted to see how far out of bounds they can get. Like I don't get how some people have their enjoyment. Like that's how they enjoy games, is seeing how they can break them. The same with speed runs. Like that they enjoy seeing how fast they can get through the game and stuff. But like I can't see how your enjoyment of a game is either hindered or increased based off of like your ability on your couch or on your computer to make it not work properly. You know?
I mean, and if that's what it is, like, more power to you. But like, I just think that like making a blanket statement about the quality of a game based on that is nonsensical.
Yeah,
I think it's kind of where you're getting at.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like if you derive enjoyment from breaking it, go. Who doesn't? I break shit all the time. I almost made it the entire podcast so far without cursing.
Hey man, it's all right.
I got it there. I had
it's
to
part
get
of
it
life. Don't worry about it. I won't bleep you because you're not Joe. So.
But no, yeah, we're having lots of fun with the game. I wasn't around last night to play with you guys, and I was having
You're
some
fiending a
FOMO.
bit.
I was
I know.
having some
Having
FOMO.
some FOMO.
Yeah.
How'd
How
you
many
know?
hours are you in?
I don't know. I don't know if
Dude,
it
I don't
tracks me. I
know.
don't know if it tracks my shame like it does on other video games.
Yeah,
on
like
Steam.
we can't tell you how far we're in based on like the main quest because we haven't
haven't
really
done a
been
main
doing
quest.
the main quest.
Yeah, I haven't done a main quest mission in like days.
Yeah.
Like we get so caught up on doing all the other random. My main thing right now is I'm walking around. I'm just like unlocking all of the areas in the game, so I can fast travel to them later. And it's just like, it's just oh my god,
It's
so
like
much
the
fun.
same thing with Spider-Man and Red Dead 2, where it's like, or when I beat Spider-Man, I was like 87% complete with the game or something. But my friend who was also like almost at the last mission was at like 54. So like
Right.
for me to say I'm 87% through, like it makes them seem like they're not at the same point as I am. And the same with Red Dead. They're like, oh, I'm only 18%. But if you only do the story missions, like you can be the same
Yeah,
as
of
someone who's
course.
52% or something. So it is funny
Right.
when you can't really gauge it based off of percentage complete.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. No. And yeah, it's a fun game. I think people. I mean, like, if you really don't care about it, you wait to get it when it's a little bit cheaper. Like that's fine. Like I don't think you will derive any less enjoyment over if you get it a few months from now. But I love playing games with my friends. I like having a game where even if there's not you have 4 people in a team, essentially, quote unquote a team. But then like I could have my friends playing in the same server as me, but they just be on another team.
Mm-hmm.
They'll be around. We could like see each other and like wave at each other and like talk because we're on Discord. But then like they're off doing their own missions. We're off doing our own missions. We can meet back up and like just hang out. Like that's fun to me. A game,
Yeah.
I enjoy that.
But even
that
when
aspect.
we're not, even if we're on the same team, I was on the same team. Our friends earlier, and I'm like, okay, I just want you guys to be on my team so I can get the
bonus.
the bonus in the experience, like because of my perk card. But like, you guys can go do whatever you want, and I'm gonna go do whatever I want. And while we were all doing that, we were just like, oh hey, there's this thing that we could all do together. Do you guys want to meet up and do it? And it's like, sure.
You just fast travel to them for free, and
fast travel and then get it going.
Yep.
Do you think the game has legs? Like, if you think about, it's an online experience and live service, all like the buzzwords all of the industry uses now. Like, do you see yourself 2, 3, 4, 5 months out when we got Anthem and we got all these other, fall games that come out and a lot of stuff early 2019? Like, does the game have a shelf life at all, or once you beat the story and your friends are all done with it, you think you're gonna put it down?
I mean, I feel like people would say the same thing about WoW or any really MMO RPG, right? So like, it's if you're invested in the world and in the story, then you can, as long as they're putting out content that you're agreeable with, you can play forever, play indefinitely. Like Destiny was like that. Destiny 2 is like that. Like if you get bored really easily, maybe not. Like if you like love seeing new stuff and love completing a story, and then maybe not. But if you like the world and you like the aspects of the game, like building bases, hang out with your friends, or like going on little missions and stuff, then yeah, I don't see why not.
That's fair.
Like, I don't know. Like we found a few things that could either be dailies or later on expansions to the game already in the game. So like we found this thing kind of like summon the Night Stalker. And we're like, okay, I want to summon the Night Stalker. How do I do it? Don't know what that means, but like there's a list of things you need to do. And we did them all. And we're like, I don't understand why any of this work. And we're like, okay, well, maybe it's a daily, or maybe it's a DLC, or not a DLC, but like an event that's like yet to come. And I've already found another Fallout vault inside of the game.
Yeah.
Which you can't access yet.
Fallout 75.
Yeah.
Fallout 63.
69. That's
there it is.
There it is.
That's the adult-only rated Fallout game.
Yeah, no kids allowed.
No kids allowed in this one.
No little stinkers in this guy.
Oh, God.
But I think this game has legs. Like, of course, I'm going to get the other games and play them, and of course, the amount of time that I'm going to play Fallout 76 will probably go down when these other games come out. But this game is going to be around for a while. Like, I see it. I see it lasting a while.
Yeah. I see it as a That's a game we'll pick up and play with our friends when a new expansion comes out, and maybe put it. Yeah, like you said, maybe put it down for different games and pick them up. But I can see coming back to it.
I feel like once Anthem comes out, Joe's gonna be like, "What's Fallout?
Yeah.
what's Smash? What's everything that's not Anthem?" Because Joe is so hyped for it.
We'll see what happens with that when it comes out. I don't know. We gotta look more into Anthem. We haven't heard too much about
right.
it.
Yeah.
It's still planned, right? February 22nd.
February. Yep.
I'm looking at a picture right now. It's got a robot on it.
What more do you need?
Yeah,
Look at that cool robot.
It's another 4-player Destiny type game.
Gotta love them. Gotta crank those out.
Yep.
Let's kick those.
I got Destiny for free.
We all did, actually.
Yeah, we all did.
I haven't played it yet. I'm excited to lose all my progress, but it doesn't matter since it's on PC now. I had no progress anyway, so
yeah, there you go.
So it's not going to impact me. If I was still on my PS4, I'd be mad. I lost all my 1,000 hours of progress from Destiny 1. So
yeah, exactly.
True.
Yeah. All right, Dillon, thank you so much for coming on Cup of Joe's. We really appreciate it. Had a lot of fun talking with you about different gaming topics. It was a pleasure.
It was a lot of fun. You've made a new fan. I have to listen to all. Where was this? 37?
Yeah, episode 37.
I gotta listen to all 36 now.
Yeah, you gotta you gotta go back and
I gotta go back into the archive.
Go listen to our Star Wars review from. That's still to this day our most successful episode, our most downloads. So.
Star Wars review. I actually recorded that before I went to Dylan's wedding last year.
Oh, congratulations!
Thank you. Well, yeah, we're getting to 1 year now, so we're getting close to our 1 year anniversary soon.
There it is.
There you go. All right. Well, now we are gonna make 2 listeners because you from your.
I'm gonna strap my wife down and put some headphones on her.
There we go.
If you tell her
and
that
then we're gonna listen to the podcast. Wink.
All right. Well, on that note, that's gonna do it. So, Joe, take us home.
Okay. Thanks, guys, for listening to another episode of Cup of Joe's. We always appreciate when you come and listen to us and hang out. Join us next week for another steaming hot episode of Cup of Joe's, and we'll see you then. Boom. Shut up, Joe Brown.
All right.